Hi, my name is Osvaldo Delgado, my candidate number is 0019, and this is my creative critical reflection for ACE Media Studies AS Lowell. As you can see here, this is my finalized magazine, Barron Magazine. Here is the cover, the table of contents, and the feature spread. The audience for my fashion magazine is mostly young men from the ages of 18 to 35 with an average median salary of $65,000, which essentially just means upper middle class. I drew my inspiration for the magazine from other magazines of a similar genre such as GQ magazine, Esquire, L'Official Homes, and Harper's Bazaar. For the first question of my creative critical reflection, it is, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups and issues? Well, when creating my cover, I decided that I would stick to what most magazines of my genre do, which is to center the masthead and make it fairly large. We can see that with L'Official Homes, we can see that with Esquire, and here are some more issues, Official Homes, Esquire, and I decided to do this so that it still looks like a fashion magazine, but I decided to break the mold a little bit by making my masthead slightly larger. It's more or less the size of GQ's masthead, but again, I centered mine and made it a little different, but still similar to what magazines of this genre usually do. I also went ahead and made my font sans serif, which is not usually what magazines of this genre do, but I decided to go with it because I think it looks more modern, kind of angular, and looks a little bit like Art Deco, which also makes the magazine look like it has a little bit of history to it, which is something I definitely wanted. When creating the cover lines, I also broke the mold a little bit by using two colors instead of one. As we can see with other magazines of this genre, they usually stick to just one color. As you can see here with the white and the black, with a single white, once again black with little accents of red. But I decided that I would use two colors with the brown and the dark blue and a little bit of white accents because I think it just ties the entire thing together with the brown of the belt, the blue of the sky, and then of course the dark blue from the masthead. When creating the actual table of contents, I created kind of a mix of all the different things I saw from within my genre. So you can see here with Harper's Bazaar, they sort of use one large image and then just lay out the actual contents to the other side. With GQ, we see something a little different with some crops and things like that. And then with Esquire, they do something pretty unique by putting all their pictures into sort of this geometric shapes. So I knew that all of these were pretty cool and different, so I knew that I wanted to incorporate some aspects from all three of these examples, and that's exactly what I did. Here we can see I made content fairly large, which is again part of what my genre usually does. But then again, I challenged some conventions by creating this geometric shapes over here in the corner, which I got from Esquire, but then still keeping much of the page sort of to what Harper's Bazaar would do. So I incorporated a little bit of all the different issues that I saw, and then we have this crop here, which I got the idea from GQ's table of contents, which I think works really well by incorporating the model on the cover with the actual table of contents. It has a really good flow to it. For my feature spread, I got inspiration from these two spreads right here, but then again I decided that I wanted to do a little bit of my own thing. So while the other magazines of my genre tend to do layouts that look a little bit like collages with overlapping boxes, pictures, text, things like that. I decided that I wanted mine to look a little bit more minimalistic, and I decided that I would just do this single body of text with the title at the top, subtitle, and then just do some overlapping to make sure that it fit in with my genre with these two pictures here. So I think it works well by incorporating what's typically done with the genre and also some new aspects to it. As we can see here, we also have some lines. In this specific issue, these lines are used to sort of box off this part of the text from the rest, but in mine, it's used to sort of box in the entire spread, and I think it makes it look pretty cohesive. And yeah. Another thing that I added on my own was right here, the labels and prices of the items shown. Although I've seen this in some of the fashion magazines, it's not really a trait found in all of them. As we can see here, these two do not have the labels shown. So I decided that I wanted to do that since my magazine was mainly aimed towards a younger audience. I think it helps with educating them on what's trending right now and what's in and what's not. In terms of representing social groups or issues, early on I knew that I wanted to include a female model in my magazine, and I did so with my friend Julie, as we can see in my feature spread and my table of contents. Despite the audience being young men, again, ages 18 to 35, I decided that I wanted to include a female model to sort of go against the more archaic portrayals that we see in some of men's fashion magazines. As we can see, we have two here from Esquire and one from GQ, and I just don't think that this specific portrayal sort of goes with society that we have today. As we can see, GQ, they're sort of working towards female empowerment, and I decided that I wanted to sort of do something like this, and went ahead and also mentioned gender neutral fashion in my feature spread. I think that in doing this, I sort of expand my target audience a little bit and offer a little more towards other audiences. So by sort of talking about gender neutral fashion and such, I think that it combines the worlds of female fashion magazines and male fashion magazines and puts them into one. And I think that doing this works for the society we have today, and it opens up the social groups and social issues that I discuss. Well, on the topic of audiences, I think it's a perfect time to move over to our second question. How does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real-world text? So if we look over to my cover, one thing that I did with my model is to put them in front of the masthead. I think that in doing this, it sort of calls the audience over and tells them that the actual celebrity or model being shown is the center of attention. I think that in doing this, it sort of calls over the viewer and attracts them towards my magazine. I think adding the plus sign, the different boxes behind the text, I think it all makes the actual cover look appealing and draws their attention in. We also need to take a look at the language of the cover, and as we can see, it says must-haves, essentials, top picks, top fashion picks, style and all things Baron, and also world exclusive. All of this language sort of entails that the audience is missing something, and this magazine will help them achieve what they're missing. If we go over to the table of contents, we see that it draws in the aspects of the cover and language, again separated by fashion and style, culture and lifestyle, so it's all very easy for the audience to find the content that they're looking for. And we see little clever alliterations, silver screen, we see sustainable style, and this again draws the attention of the audience, and these short little descriptions help guide them to the different content. When taking a look at the feature spread, again we have these labels and price tags that helps the audience know what they're looking at and sort of identify the different pieces, the individual pieces. Right here with the text and the font, we can see that I sort of juxtaposed this very modern font with the more traditional one. I think that helps appeal to a more like a younger audience and maybe an older one too, sort of merges them into this topic, which is again gender neutral fashion, which is something that's up and coming and sort of combines modern with traditional. In terms of how would it be distributed as a real world text, well, if we go over to the cover once again, you can see a barcode, so it will again be on the different magazine stands. It'll be sold pretty much everywhere where magazines of my genre are already sold. And I also went ahead, since it is appealing to a younger audience, I included at the bottom of the table of contents, as well as the feature spread, the website, which is Baron.com. Once again, to appeal to a younger audience, the actual website will have additional content as well as links to different social media platforms, which my magazine will also be a part of in order to market and sort of give little hints and peeks at actual magazine content. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up questions 1 and 2 of my creative critical reflection, and see you next time.